So you had Gigi Buffon, you had Del Piero, Chiellini. I'm trying to think of players that are still there. You had Bonucci was still there. You had Momo Sissoko. Do you remember Momo Sissoko from Liverpool? And guys like Amauri, he was English people might not remember him, but he was quite famous at the time. Iaquinta was, I think he scored a few goals for Italy. Like you had still a very good team.
Iaquinta was a great striker.
Yeah, do you remember him? Yeah.
I remember him.
Actually, you want to hear about this? I watched Iaquinta and Chiellini have a full-on punch-up.
Really?
It was like two gorillas. Like it was powerful fight. They just, I think Chiellini must have been a bit too,
forceful in the tackle.
And Iaquinta just lost his head. Obviously, Italians are very hot-headed, aren't they? And when I was just talking about this, just reminded me. I've just got that, movie in my head of it happening.
Who won?
It was 50-50,
Really?
Maybe Iaquinta, I think. Maybe Iaquinta. Slight advantage. Yeah.
What was life like in Turin then? How did you enjoy that side of things?
It's a great culture. Obviously, the food is amazing. I lived in a hotel for a few months, and then I found a little pad in the center of Turin. And like when you play for Juventus, you get sometimes you get to eat for free, in restaurants. That's the perks. And then it was great. It was great. I had a terrible year. It's probably one of the worst seasons of my career, because my missus was pregnant, and then I lost my dad, so I kept going back and forth to Paris to see him, and then he passed away, and then I almost lost my wife after the baby because she had an infection or something like this, so she was in hospital for a while. So mentally I was quite challenged that season. I couldn't play football, any good foot. Like the games that I played well. I know that for a fact, but I didn't play enough. I kept getting like niggling, injuries and like coming back, and then for a few games and then getting injured again. I was doing a lot of traveling, and I couldn't play my best football there because mentally, there was so much going on off the pitch. But still, I still enjoyed it. I got to learn a bit of Italian, and overall, it was you have to find positives even in negative situations. So yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good.
It must have been a frustrating time for yourself being at such a big club. I know you've come from Arsenal, which is a massive club as well, but to have that experience in Italy and then have the issues of off the field stuff and life to deal with, sounds very difficult and quite a difficult time for yourself.
Well, when you're 19, as well, and it was hands down one of the hardest season of my career, for sure. Because as well, we spoke about my dad earlier. He was there since I was 10 years old, like looking after me, calling me up, and then suddenly you lose your dad. You lose a piece of yourself. So it was hard to deal with. But then at the same time, I just had my first son, so I didn't have time to just be sad about losing my dad, because I had a young kid, so I had to try and power through, if you want. So yeah, you just, like I say, you just have to adapt and find positives in negatives situation.
How long did it take you rather to get yourself back motivated and focused on your footballing side of things?
Well, it's funny because when I got the call, I remember it was a Monday night, and we had the Thursday game, European game in Poznan, I think it was in Poland. That was on the Thursday, and I got a call from my mum telling me that my dad passed away, and that he was due to fly on Friday to Senegal. So I said to my mum, I'll play the game. The game was Wednesday, sorry. So I play the game on Wednesday and then I'll come to Paris. So to answer your questions, I refocused pretty much straight away after she told me that. I went to training the next day and then played the game, and then I flew to Paris, you know. And then after, so we buried my dad and I came back, and then I want to say business as usual, you know. Life doesn't pause when things like this happen. You just have to get on with it, you know.
Was there any talk of extending your stay in Turin and signing for Juventus full time?
There was, yes, actually. So towards the end of the season, I had a chat with the senior players of Juve, so Chiellini, Del Piero. I think the manager was there, and maybe one of the executive board members. And they basically asked me that if I wanted to come back, you know, after the holidays. Because if I don't, they were like, oh, we know you've had like off the pitch issues, but like, did you like it? Would you like to come back? Because if you don't, then we won't even make the offer to Arsenal. And I was like, no, yeah, I do. I think it'd be good. I really enjoyed it, and so I was expecting to get an offer from the club to Arsenal in the summer. And then I was on holiday in the Maldives, and then I got a text or a call from the chief executive, I think, of Juventus, telling me that they just sacked the manager. And then they would let me know if, basically, if they're gonna make an offer. They were like, oh, we need to wait and see who's gonna come in, etc., etc. And never heard back from Juventus after that. I think the Luigi Del Neri really liked me as a player. So him leaving sort of like killed off the move, you know. And but like I was still at Arsenal, if that makes sense. So you know, just go on with it, and then yeah, that was it.
Talk me through returning back to North London.
I'm trying to think. It was so many years ago. I remember coming back doing the pre-season with Arsenal, and I think this is when QPR. Yeah, it would have been. This is when QPR. I got a call from Adel Tarrabat telling me that Neil Warnock wants to talk to me, and they just got promoted back in the Premier League. And yeah, we had a chat, and I was. That was a funny story, actually. So I was due to have a medical on the Thursday, but on Thursday after training at Arsenal, basically the boss Wenger tells me that Bakary Sagna is ill. So he's like, I need you to travel with the squad to Old Trafford, because they were playing Man United away on a Sunday. So I'm like, of course. He goes, once the game is over, on Monday you can go and have your medical, you know. And I ended up starting this game, which is crazy. I had no clue that I was starting, and we lost 8-2. That was that famous game, and so we lost 8-2, and then I woke up feeling absolutely terrible the next day on the Monday, and then took my car and had my medical for QPR.
Just want to focus on that game. Obviously, it lives long in the memory of Arsenal fans and Manchester United fans. What was Arsene Wenger's mood? What did he say to the players after the game?
Nothing. Like nothing.
Nothing at all?
If I remember well, like, don't take my word for it, obviously, but if I remember well, I remember everyone just staring at the floor, being absolutely shocked at what just happened. But what do you say when you've just conceded 8 goals in a massive game like this when you're Arsenal Football Club? There's not much you can say, is there? I think I'm pretty sure, like the next day, obviously I was gone because I was due to have my medical. They must have had like video meetings to talk about the goals, etc. But I remember the team was quite young, so that would have been a very hard lesson to learn. Yeah.
Medical at Queen's Park Rangers.
Yeah.
Neil Warnock, one of the big characters of English football. Yeah. Talk me through that period.
Yeah, it was very different than Arsenal.
Different in what way?
Different, the training, the banter around, you know. It was different, but it was good. Obviously, there's a lot less pressure at QPR than at Arsenal, and but they do have certain things in common, Wenger and Warnock, in that they are fantastic managers, and this is why they've been as successful as they have been. Because again, like, it all comes down to how can you create a bond with your players, and Neil Warnock's got this. He will create bonds with his players, and then he will have literally soldiers ready to die for him. Fantastic man, fantastic manager.
He seems, Warnock, looking from the outside in, a real big character, very unpredictable, very, very unusual in his methods and stuff. How did you get on with him personally?
I got on with him great, if I'm honest. So I had him at QPR, and then I had him at Cardiff twice, because I signed twice for Cardiff. But at QPR, he was just so to make sure, like, he has like different ways of managing players. So for instance, he knew that I was getting like little niggling injuries here and there, so he would keep me inside until Thursday or Friday, and then I'd play the game, and then, you know, whenever he was basically wrapping me in cotton wool, I think they call it. He just finds little things like this, extra days off here and there for this player, because he needs an extra day off because mentally maybe he's not right, or he's great like that, Neil Warnock. And I've really enjoyed my time with him. I'm actually glad that he's still managing. It's great. It's great for football, honestly.
Adel Tarrabat, one of the players you played a lot with as a youngster, during his time at QPR, had a bit of a reputation for doing unpredictable things, whether that be on the pitch or off the pitch. Can you talk to me a little bit about Adel Tarrabat and your relationship with him? Me and Adel, we've known each other since we were on the 14's French team, on the 15 or 16. We used to be roommates back then, and then I moved to Arsenal, he moved to Spurs, so we were together pretty much after training every day. And then we found each other at QPR. When you mean, I don't know what you mean by unpredictable. He's definitely a character, but to have the ability that he's got, you know, you've got to be a character. He's got an unbelievable amount of qualities and ability. It's just a shame that he couldn't do it maybe more consistently. I think maybe he's doing it now with Benfica more consistently, but this is not the player that we're talking about, that was trying to not make everyone, like not make 2, 3 and then put in the top, you know, in the top bins. Now, from what I see, he's more calm about himself and when he plays. So he plays more two-touch football. Before, he was just a ball hugger. You know, he couldn't. Like, there was times in training at QPR where everyone, with Mark Hughes, everyone was
free. So when they say free, like you can take as many touches as you want. And only Adel he was restricted. He had like 1 or 2 touches. So that was, I think he's changed. And back then, maybe he was a lot more crazy on the pitch and maybe a lot more crazier off the pitch. I think now, with age, I see him play and I'm like, I think it's the same now. So he's a lot calmer on the pitch. I think he's a lot calmer off the pitch as well.
Can it be frustrating for other players playing with someone that's that good but doesn't play what the game needs? So they're playing their own game in a mini game of the bigger picture.
Yeah, it can be frustrating, but then you have to keep in mind when you've got a player like that he could unlock the game a snap of a finger. He could be absolutely terrible for 88 minutes, and then for 2 minutes he just does. And that was Adel every now and then. If I remember well, Warnock forbid him to defend, to go past the halfway line, especially when they were in the championship. And players had a duty to just get the ball, lift their head and check where Adel is. Just give him the ball, So, yeah, what a player.
Do you think he got away with a lot more under Neil Warnock than he would have other managers?
100%. I think you asking me that question, yeah. I mean, Neil Warnock got the best out of him. Neil Warnock got the best out of him to get the club out of the championship, and he done it, Because that season in the championship, I don't think QPR would have gone up without Adel. I think he had 23 goals and 19 assists. So whatever the gaffer was doing with him was obviously working. If it meant letting him get away with murder, the gaffer had one thing in his mind, was to get promotion with the team. And I think even some of the senior players in that squad knew that. Because they'd probably come in and say, start swearing and say, where is he? Or why is he not training? Or why this? And then a few days later, they're struggling in a game. Adel just, comes on or whatever, and it just pops 2 in the top bins, and they're top of the league. And they're getting their bonuses. They're happy, So.
Have you got any Adel stories you can share with us from your time together at Queen's Park Rangers?
I'm sure you've heard that story. That was quite funny when Joey Barton tackled him. Have you heard of that?
No.
So we were training and I think Joey Adel was messing around trying to not make people or whatever. And then Joey lost his head and two-footed him, two-footed tackling him. Adel lost his head and then threw the bib on the floor. And then the next day, apparently, Joey received, or the club of Joey received a letter from Adel's lawyer saying that Joey was not allowed to,
like a restraining order?
Yeah, against Joey Barton. He got a restraining order against him. That was quite funny. But in terms of absolutely crazy stories. Obviously, he's still playing. I'd rather, I can't talk about the certain things, but he's a character, But I do think that he's come down quite a lot. That comes with age, doesn't he? Yeah. And then when we got to the Premier League, when QPR got to the Premier League, so new players came in, like myself and everything, and so certain players didn't understand that the gaffer was treating him differently, maybe, so that maybe created a few problems straight away. So I think the gaffer had to change a bit his ways with him, because obviously there was more senior players here, and now you're in the Premier League, it was different. But it was good times.
One character you mentioned who has a very checkered and controversial past is Joey Barton. Mm. What was he like as a teammate? What was he like to be around? How did you get on with him?
I got on well with Joey Barton. I had absolutely no problems with him. I quite liked his honesty. He's a black or white kind of guy, if I'm not mistaken. He's not sly. He's very honest. And I think this is why we got on well together. I never had an issue with him. He would literally die on the pitch. He's one of those who would make up for whatever weaknesses he had. He would make up for it in other ways. And I think he was he ended up being quite a complete, football player, and managed to get a lot of games under his belt. And he was I like Joey,
Do you feel sometimes his explosiveness or his actions sometimes undermine how good of a football player Joey Barton actually was?
Yeah, possibly, because the character and the ability go hand in hand. So if you've got issues off the pitch where you lose your head, like obviously everybody knows what Joey has done. He was young, I think since then he's had kids, but he does have a switch about him, he will switch even in training. He will lose his head. This is what you got to take him, for his qualities as a football player, and you got to take the whole package, But I think everybody have their views on Joey Barton. I had a great experience with him. I never had an issue with him, and I think he's doing fantastic with Fleetwood now as well. That's all I can say about Joey.
I'd love to have been in the room to hear Neil Warnock and Joey Barton going at it a little bit, because they're obviously two very outspoken people, two very cutting characters at times. I know Joey would have no doubt been a lot more respectful with Warnock being the gaffer, but I'm sure those two would have had some moments.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is I think they don't like each other.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's my view.
Yeah.
I think.
Have you seen them have any incidents where they've sort of exchanged words?
Top of my head, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah. Because Joey is like this. Like I said, he's honest, and if there's something that needs to be said, he will say it in front of people, and But I'm pretty sure they've had their fair share of, because Joey was captain as well, so the Warnock and him would have had to converse quite a bit, and that's a question for Joey or Neil Warnock, I guess.
Indeed. What's it like when a manager's not having a player? No doubt you've played for a lot of clubs, you've seen players come and go. What's it like when a manager just doesn't have a player? Have you seen that happen quite a lot?
Like he doesn't want him.
Yeah, and just doesn't like his
Not part of the
personality,
plans.
doesn't like the partner plans, doesn't sort of include him in things. Have you seen this happen quite a lot at different teams?
Yes. It's not a good situation to be in, to be honest. It's happened to me twice. And you never truly understand what it's like until it happens to you. Like I remember seeing certain players like being sent to the under-23s and coming in at certain times to try and force them out of the club, and it's not nice. I remember seeing that, but until it happens to you, you don't really know what it's like. I remember being at Forest, and for a while now I was, playing games after game, not breaking down with injuries or whatever. So I was getting a good run of games, and a new manager came, and he was just like, "You're not gonna play. You're not gonna be in my plans." And then you suddenly find yourself like, "Well, what am I gonna do now?" I was playing every week. I was playing well, and then now they've sacked this manager. This new manager comes in, and you're like, "Well, this guy doesn't like me for whatever reason. There's only a few days left of the transfer window. I've got to find a team." It's quite horrible. Otherwise, I'm going to have to train with the under-23s and waste 6 months or a year, or at least 6 months until the next transfer window. So you are, it's a run against time, really. You know, you're trying to find solutions to. Well, I'm not going to play here, so I need to find somewhere where I'm going to play. So it's not nice, but you know, it's part of football.
Queen's Park Rangers suffered relegation from the Premier League. Tough thing for the club to deal with, having worked and taken so long for them to get back to the top flight. At that moment, did you know there would be a big exodus of players from the club leaving? Did you anticipate a lot of the guys moving on?
The problem that we had at QPR is that a lot of the players that went there were on huge wages. Huge. When I tell you huge wages, it's like massive wages that basically whether you go down or you stay in the Premier League doesn't matter. You've got the same wage. So for players from a relegated team to go and find these wages elsewhere would be very difficult. So you end up with a load of players on really high wages who won't leave. So this is a problem for the club, you know. And it was a problem for the club, I guess.
How did your tenure at Queen's Park Rangers end, and how did the move to Nottingham Forest manifest itself for you?
I mean, I've had my ups and downs at QPR. I personally think I had a great experience at QPR. Like, if you speak to some fans, they might have a different view, but I enjoyed it a lot. I was part of some iconic days there, and I left at the end of my contract, so I was a free agent. And so I remember, this is quite crazy actually. So I was free during the summer, and I got asked to go and speak to Hoffenheim in Germany. So I went all the way to Hoffenheim, and I had a chat with the manager. Young manager, I can't remember. He's the manager of Leipzig now. Leipzig, RB, Red Bull Leipzig. Very young manager, I think he's my age. And while I was there talking to Hoffenheim, I got. They were not too sure because of my injuries and all that, so there was a little bit of a block there. And then when I was talking with them, I got a call from Philippe Montagnier, who was Nottingham Forest manager at the time. He was like, "Oh man, I'll take you in. You know, I just came in. It'd be great if you could come." So I went to Forest, and he asked me to do one training session just to check that I wasn't injured. And so I trained once, and then I signed a few days after. And that was it.
Forest, again, massive club, massive history. They've been at the top of English football before in the past.
Yeah. What
was it like when you joined, and what stage was the club at in their development?
Yeah, like you said, it's an absolutely massive club. I mean, like the expectations of the fans' expectations is still like a huge club. Like they want to see certain type of football being played. They want to be at you can't fault them for that because it is a massive club. But I remember, I think when I signed there, the club was trying to build something, and to eventually get to the playoffs. I think that went terribly wrong that season because we literally just scrapped staying in the championship on the last game of the championship that season, but we managed to stay up. And then Mark Warburton came in, and he was another great manager. He's now at Queen's Park Rangers. Very good manager for me, and understands how the game should be played, basically. So it was actually quite sad that Forest managed to get to the playoffs last season, and they couldn't capitalise, which was a real shame. I was hoping, because for me, clubs like Leeds, Nottingham Forest should be in the Premier League. But I believe that eventually they will get there, I think.
You had 2 good seasons, Nottingham Forest. aspiring to get yourself, as well as the club, back into the top flight. Was it a tough decision for yourself to leave Cardiff, or was that a decision to leave for Cardiff, or was that decision taken out of your hands?
It was taken out of my hands to leave Forest. Like I said, I was thoroughly enjoying my time there. I was playing every week. I was staying fit. We just managed to knock Arsenal out of the FA Cup by winning 4-2. And then they sacked the manager, who was Philippe Montagnier, if I remember well. Yeah, I'm sure it was him. And then they brought in Aitor Karanka, who was like from the get-go, was like, nah, you're not going to play. You're not going to be in my plans. And that was like with a few days left of the transfer window left, you know. So I was rushing, and then managed to sign for Cardiff, which was amazing. Like,
Neil Warnock again, reunited.
Neil Warnock again, yeah. And we managed. I didn't play much that the second part of that season, but we ended up getting promotion. So I now had 2 promotions. I met a fantastic group of players at Cardiff, and even more fantastic fans, like the fans of Cardiff welcomed me. To this day, I still speak to some of them. And a different city, a different country, like it was just overall a great experience. This is when I know that everything happens for a reason, you know. So I was absolutely devastated to leave Forest, but then I went to Cardiff and found, you know, something that was quite better, I would say. In certain areas, you know, it was better.
Do you like the lifestyle in Cardiff? Do you like Wales as a country? Was it a place that you settled quite easy?
Yeah, well, I lived with Sol Bamba, who still plays for Cardiff, so I lived with him, so that made it easier. And yeah, overall, I really liked it. It's very green, so it's very country-like. And I quite like that. And then obviously you've got beautiful seas over there. It's a great little town. You've got everything that you want in Cardiff. I've never been to Swansea, so I couldn't comment on that. But overall, I really like it. I still go back to Cardiff every now and then. So that tells you that, you know, it's a beautiful country, and it's a great club.
Now, I want to speak to you about your time out in Turkey. I've had quite a few players on the channel that have been in Turkey that have had horror stories, whether that be regards to payment not being forthcoming, regards to fallouts with chairman, which seems to be quite the norm out in Turkey, in Turkish football. Can I talk to you about your experience with Ricepor initially and how that all came about for yourself?
Well, my time in Turkey was an absolute nightmare. It was the biggest mistake I've done in my career. It came about after I must have been mentally weak at the time when I accepted to go there. I was supposed to go. I was banked basically on to go to the World Cup with Senegal. I was part of the 25-man list, but you only take 23. And then when the official list came out, I was out of the 25, so I didn't go to the World Cup. I was down for a few days because I literally felt like that was a turning point. Like if I went to the World Cup and played well, like my career could have gone, straight back up again. So when that didn't happen, I was sort of lost my head and accepted to sign for this club. And it pretty much went to, it was a nightmare from the get-go. So they were supposed to pay me a salary advance. So that was one of the rules. They were supposed to pay me a big chunk of money within the week after I signed. And basically I didn't get any payments until November, so I signed in June or July. I had to use a lawyer to get paid. Once they received a letter from my lawyer, they asked me to retract the letter, which I refused. And then that's when the problem started. They sent me with the under 23s, asking me to leave at Christmas without. I can't remember if they were going to pay me or not. They just asked me to leave. I refused. Said I would not leave without my money. And then basically I stayed there. I tried to find a club. It was nothing. Nothing happened, and I wasted the whole season not playing with the under 23s. And then after that, you're playing catch up because you haven't played for a season. Every club that you're going to talk to is going to ask you, why have you not played? Yeah, but you haven't played for so long. Yeah, but. So I ended up signing a short-term contract with Cardiff. And 2 days after I signed that short-term contract, Warnock decided to leave. And then Neil Harris came in and told me I wasn't part of his plans. So I left Cardiff in January, just 2020. And then the lockdown happened. And then I'm here now. Wow. I still don't know. I'm in limbo. I don't know if I've stopped. I don't know because I've not played for now 2 years. It's a long time.
Bearing in mind, 8 months of that's probably been lockdown. So
as well, yes, yeah. But clubs will look at this and say you haven't played for X amount of time. But the experience in Turkey, I could go on. People threatening you.
People connected to the club and stuff.
Not threatening you, but like trying to intimidate you, asking for permission to see my kids because I haven't seen them for months and months. Permission refused time and time when the whole training ground is not training during international week. I'm the only one that's out there because they, try make life hard for you, but they don't care. They didn't care. They don't care. I would advise anyone who's thinking about going there not to go there.
There's been a lot of problems with a lot of players that have gone out in Turkey. Have you been fully paid up with your wages for your time that you spent playing for them?
Yes, but I had to use lawyers and eventually it has cost me my career, the end of my career probably, because all of this started because I sent a letter with the lawyer to get
basically because you requested your wages.
My wages. I was waiting for that money so that I could organize my family, my 3 kids and my wife to come to Istanbul to put them in a flat and all, but I couldn't do that until the money was being paid.
How old are you now?
30. 31 in 2 days.
30. So you should really be hitting the pinnacle of your career.
Exactly.
I know you've had some terrible luck with injuries and stuff, but how is your fitness now? How do you feel?
I feel great. I'm back to the weight. It's funny that I'm back to the weight that I was when I was 19, 20 at Arsenal and all that. And I'll never forget Tony Colbert, who was the fitness coach at Arsenal, always used to say to me, his favorite weight for me was 78, 77 kilos. And for many years I was 84, 85, just like, a bit too big. And then I'm finally, 78 kilos now. I'm just like plateauing at that. And I feel good when I'm out on the runs, when I'm boxing with Mark as well as, I feel better, I feel more agile.
What level are you aspiring to play at after the lockdown's fully over? Where are you looking to apply your trade? What would you consider a viable option at this point in your career?
This is a good question because like I said, I'm in limbo at the moment. Am I still playing? Am I retired? I don't really know. Obviously, I don't want to go. There's certain things now because I've been away from my family for so many years. The lockdown has got me to basically enjoy my kids, get to know my kids. Like before the lockdown, I didn't know my kids.
Really?
That's a big statement. Like I used to come back once a week, see them, deal with the whatever performance that I had the day before. So you're not fully enjoying your kids, and then leave literally that same night. So I didn't actually know my kids. I didn't know their characters. So I got to know that. So for now, it would have to be sort of like close to home, if possible. Or if the family could come with me, that would be even better. And I would say any football. Doesn't matter the level. Obviously, I don't want to go and play conference. If I can avoid that, it would be better. I think that I've got a lot more to bring than playing for.
I was just going to say, I think you're being very humble. For success you've had already in your career.
Yeah.
You're a Senegal international as well.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there'll be plenty of teams out there that at the very least would like to see you in the flesh.
You would be surprised. They're all worried about the lack of playing time, and any football. Because I play with some dads, once a week, and I was saying that obviously today's Tuesday. I said to my wife, like, you want to see my mood after I play those games once a week. It's like it brings me to life, basically. So to play football again in front of fans, to have that job again would be welcome. But if it doesn't happen, then so be it. I'll live, I'll trust God's plan.
Football is one of the very few jobs where you can be at 30 years of age and be contemplating whether you've still got work. It's a very bizarre situation and circumstances to find yourself in.
Yeah, especially when it comes so abruptly, if that's the word, if it comes so suddenly. I didn't really prepare for any of this. I always sort of thought, I'm gonna find a team, somewhere in this world. But when the whole lockdown has happened and teams have got less funds and they're banking on young players now, I might have to retire.
At the age of 30 though, surely you've probably got 2 or 3 good seasons left in there, God willing.
Yes.
Surely.
I mean, even now that I do so much boxing training, I feel the benefits. I can see it when I play football. I feel like I'm able to repeat efforts more. I feel like my cardio is getting 10 times better. I couple the boxing with plyometrics with a trainer that basically trains some NBA players. So that's a different kind of work as well than what you would find in most football clubs. It's work that suits me, and it's getting the best out of me physically and mentally.
Have you thought about life after football, regardless whether your immediate decision is to play or not to play? Have you been thinking, regardless whether that be your coaching badges, whether that be going into the dare I say, the managerial pyramid of football? Is that something you've given much thought to?
I'm doing my badges now. I'm doing my B license as we speak. I've pretty much finished the theory. I'm going to have to do the practical, but the practical is going to be difficult because I'm an outsider to whatever club I'm going to do the practical with. At the moment, they're just keeping the bubble because of the COVID and everything, so I can't really start the practical at the moment. But in terms of like after football, it sort of interests me to work with younger players, and especially their mental, the mental side of it. Not so much I'd like to create some sort of bond with young players and basically prepare them for, in the event that they get into the spotlight, help them to cope with that. Okay. What's coming?
In case Jens Lehmann comes up and shouts in their face.
Exactly. But I'm more like at the moment directed towards like the younger players. I can't really deal with egos, because there's a lot of that in football, and I'd rather not deal with that. So I'd prefer to help young players, especially a bit like psychology. I like that.
Would you ever consider a punditry role or a job within the football? Obviously, being bilingual as well is a huge asset for anyone in media. Is that a position that you would work toward, or something that you'd be interested in?
I mean, to do it every single week, I don't think that would interest me, if I'm honest with you. But I mean, Why not? Like you said, I can speak a few languages. I could talk about African football. I could talk about Premier League or Championship, and it would be good. Yeah, I mean, why not? Like, if you mean like punditry, like your Jamie Carragher's and where they have like 2-3, they've got a ton of knowledge. They're probably watching games, all day, every day. I'm not sure, but that's not something that I'm at the moment interested in doing. But like coming in and let's say like Cardiff are playing Nottingham Forest at the weekend, you want to come in and talk about, absolutely. I'd love to do things like this every now and then. Do a bit of work with the TV. I think it'd be good.
Well, I know you're going to be here training at the Fitness Factory in Surrey for a little while, getting your fitness back up.
Mm-hmm.
We look forward to seeing some news regarding yourself and your future. I'm hoping there's an attachment to a big club for yourself coming.
Hopefully.
Just be positive. You're doing everything right. You're in the right place. You're in the gym. You're training.
Mm-hmm.
So positive things happen if you've got a positive attitude.
Definitely.
I'm a believer in that.
Oh, only you. Positive. Being positive is absolutely vital. I've suffered terribly from that my whole career. Too much negative thoughts. It's not until I've sort of put a pause on the career that I started to change my, the way I think and the way I am. So you're right, positive. You gotta be positive. You gotta think it first, and then it will come to you. The law of attraction. If people have heard of that, that's what it is.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
I wish you the best of luck with the rest of your
James.
journey. Thank you ever so much for sharing, Armand.
Thank you.
I look forward to catching you
I'm sure
soon.
I'll see you soon again.